What is the best e-commerce platform for growing merchants? Let's set the groundwork real quick for what we're talking about. Now, we're talking about the best e-commerce platforms for businesses that are either currently or looking to scale. And I'm assuming you aren't some big, huge enterprise business. They may scale, but they're really already scaled and they have a whole different set of issues. I'm assuming you're a small to mid-sized business that's either taking off or is about to and is looking to take those next steps to improve their e-commerce business. And those types of businesses need to make sure they're choosing a platform that provides agility so you can easily pivot as your business changes. Flexibility so you can craft your e-commerce to match your business needs, and automations to lower the burden on your more than likely already overwhelmed small team. If that fits your business, then I'm going to give you the platforms you should be considering and why. If you're going to go through this evaluation, I've got a whole write-up down below on the biggest mistakes to avoid when migrating to a new e-commerce platform. I'm going to give you some of those reasons as I go through each of the platforms, but so much of this is custom tailored to your business. Be sure to download that when we're done talking about these options. These are in no particular order, so let's get right into it. The first e-commerce platform that I want to talk about is BigCommerce. Now, why do I like BigCommerce? First, it's Saas, or software as a service. And that means you don't have to pay for the platform and deal with the hosting. It's all included. And that means there are less technical things for your company to worry about. You're not in IT. So you get to focus on running your business and not hosting infrastructure. I can't tell you how many times I've seen companies with limited resources be bogged down and get nothing accomplished by a way too complicated e-commerce platform. Don't fall for that trap. Too many folks want it all the power and flexibility, but it actually ends up being what destroys the business. That might be a little bit too dramatic, but it at least holds them back for several years until they figure this out. Second, BigCommerce has a focus on flexibility more so than most SaaS platforms. And that allows you a little more of that flexibility you desire to tailor the platform to your business needs while also keeping that SaaS simplicity that we just discussed. BigCommerce also has B2B and B2C capabilities if you need them in one platform. Now, that doesn't apply to everyone, but if it's important to you, it's usually very important. Last but not least with BigCommerce, they have a large third-party ecosystem to help you easily and cost-effectively add additional functionality. No e-commerce platform is going to be great at everything, so a big third-party ecosystem is absolutely critical. You want to have access to the best tax services, email marketing, customer support systems, etc., etc., etc. And you don't want to have to write and maintain those integrations. Again, that just slows your business down and burdens your team. So a third-party ecosystem is an absolute necessity when choosing an e-commerce platform, especially if you want speed and agility when evolving your business. And the next platform we need to discuss is Shopify, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Everybody has heard of Shopify. Their marketing is so thick you can literally cut it with a knife. I mean, they've done a great job promoting the platform. So what do I like about Shopify? First, it's dead simple. I mean, their main goal from the beginning is to make it super simple on folks to sell products. If you had started at the beginning of this video, you might have a site set up and selling products already. If you're scaling a business, some thrown together site in an afternoon isn't going to cut it. So let's not get out of hand here. But that focus on simplicity permeates how they've built this platform. So it tends to be pretty easy for non-technical people to understand and use. Second, it has the absolute largest third-party ecosystem I've ever seen, and we just talked about how important that is for you being agile. Now, there are some good and some bad things with that many options. However, the good far outweighs the bad when it comes to you having choices. And I don't think anyone has more third-party choices than Shopify. The third thing about Shopify is that they are adding a lot of new functionality and expanding what the platform is capable of. Historically, us developers would get frustrated by the lack of flexibility and API rate limits and the complete lockdown on checkout. Now, they've made some steps to address these things, especially if you're on Shopify Plus. It's still not the most flexible platform you can find, but with the continued improvements, it's more adequate for more businesses than it previously was. The next platform I'd like to discuss is Adobe Commerce. Adobe Commerce is going to be a shift from the SaaS platforms we've discussed thus far. Kind of. I mean, Adobe Commerce is open source, and that means you have a lot of flexibility on this platform that you won't have on those SaaS options. And as I've hinted at previously, there's a downside to all that flexibility with increased complexity, but if you need it, you need it. Of course, You could get cloud hosting and everything from Adobe, so it's all in one source, but you've still got that open source complexity. Now, Adobe is releasing all of their new functionality as Saas microservices integrated into their open source core. And that makes these new things simpler for you to manage, but it also limits your flexibility on them. Despite all of that, in general, this is a very flexible platform that allows you to accomplish things that are difficult on any SaaS platform. Most people don't need it. Second, much like other platforms, there is a large network of third-party support, so you can usually find a module to help accomplish whatever you have in mind. The third thing I like about Adobe Commerce is their focus on more enterprise-grade tools. A lot of platforms, especially SaaS platforms, try to be everything to everybody, and that can make some pieces of functionality feel clunky or basic compared to the rest of the platform. Adobe Commerce's B2B functionality in particular is strong, and the flexibility of open source allows you to take it as far as you want. Adobe is actually trying to move up market, and they're really focusing on tools that serve that higher end market and integrate with their other tools like Experience Manager. Now, if you're up on that higher end, then this is good news for you. However, if you aren't, then that needs to be part of your considerations as well. And that brings me to the fourth platform to discuss, and that's Magento. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that the same as Adobe Commerce? Well, yes and no. Adobe Commerce was built on top of Magento and has added functionality like B2B and some other crap, but it also comes with a hefty license price. Magento, on the other hand, is free to download. It's still going to cost you money to host and develop and to keep updated, so don't go thinking this is a value budget friendly way to go. Like, it's still going to cost real money, and your maintenance costs are a lot higher than with a SaaS platform. However, you get all the same benefits of that open source flexibility, same great third-party support, but none of the costly license. It sounds pretty good if you don't need the features that Adobe Commerce provides, and definitely worthy of consideration. Now, there are some up-and-comers like Shopware that are starting to get traction in the US, but in general, after these four, it starts to get very niche very quickly on what platforms you should consider. Are you using a particular ERP or CRM like Salesforce? Well, maybe you should consider their e-commerce platforms. Do you have a limited product set and a ton of content? Well, maybe we should talk about WooCommerce or WordPress. Are you in an industry with specific e-commerce needs like automotive? Well, there are some niche options that may be worthy of your consideration. If you're wanting to go headless, well, then there's a ton of great options that focus on that. All of these potential platform prospects are really specific to your business, so just reach out if you want to discuss them. Now, don't forget to download that document I created on the biggest mistakes to avoid when choosing a new e-commerce platform. You can download it by filling out the form below. Also, if you need help with the decision or you want to talk about all of your platform options, you can reach me by filling out the contact form linked below or at jamerson.com. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.